Salvete. So in this lesson, I'm going to be going over words with special meanings in the plural. So this is just a short little unit, just like the fourth declension was a short unit and the fifth declension was a short unit. This is going to be just another little short unit before finally getting into adjectives. Okay, and there are two categories of words that have special meanings in the plural. So the first category are words with only plural meanings. And then the second category are words with different meanings on the plural side and on the singular side. So I'll kind of show you how those look. All right, so let's talk first about words with only plural. So words with only plural. Okay. So we'll make our chart. And the first word that there is only plural for is, I'll give you the dictionary form, castra, castrorum. And you might be going, wait, what? I thought when you wrote castra, you were going to say castra, castri. That's how a dictionary form usually looks, right? Castra, castrorum? What could be going on here? Why could the dictionary form be castra, castrorum? So castra kind of looks like it might go here, but orum doesn't go here. Orum goes here. You would write castrorum. Well, if you think about it, if these are words with only plural, nothing is going to go here. Nothing, 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 nothing. So castra must go here. Castra, castrorum. What declension does this belong to? What declension does this word belong to, this word castra, castrorum? So I'll tell you, it belongs to the second declension. It's a second declension neuter word. Orum, is, is. So this is a neuter word, which means that the nominative and the accusative are going to be the same. And they're both going to have A's for the endings. Castra, castrorum, castris. Castris. And castris. And so this word means camp, or like a fort for soldiers. So like a soldier's camp or soldier's fort. And so what's going to be different about the way we say these words is like when we're translating sentences, and we say like something is in the camp, like the sword is in the camp, or the leader. Let's say the leader is in the camp. We would say dux in. Now in the camp, so we're going to use in with the ablative. We're not going to do the in with the accusative thing. Okay. So in castor, you would think it might be like in castro, but that word doesn't exist. None of these singulars exist. So we're going to use the ablative, but we're going to use the ablative plural because this word only exists in the plural. So in castris est. Okay, dux in castris est. That means the leader is in the camp. In the camp singular. Now, if we say the camp is in the province, well, again, there's no word castrum, right? There's just castra. here's just two example sentences that use this. Castra in provincia, so in the province, in provincia. Now we're not going to say in provinciam because it's not like the camp is going into the province. It's just there. So castra in provincia. So we're going to use in plus the ablative. And you would be tempted to say est, right? Because there's just one camp is, right? But castra is a plural word. So castra in provincia sunt. Castra in provincia sunt. The camp, even though it looks like it's a plural word, the camp is, even though this word is sunt, we're going to say the camp is in the province. So this is going to be the tricky part, is remembering to use plural verbs if we need to, because here's the subject of our sentence, castra, here's our verb, and we learned that the subject and the verb always need to agree with each other. If this is a plural, this should have an NT. Or if this is singular, then this should have just the T, right? Okay, so that's our word castra castrorum, and that's the dictionary form that it gives you. So if you were to look up camp in a Latin to English dictionary, if you were to look up camp on the English side, it would give you the dictionary form, right? And it would give you castra castrorum. And when you see castra castrorum, you're going to say, oh, that's the genitive, and it looks like it's a genitive plural. So that means this castra, this must mean this is a neuter word. And so not only is this a neuter word, but it's giving us the plural side of that neuter chart, of that second declension neuter chart. So that means this is a word that exists only in the plural. See how much you can tell just by looking up the word camp in a Latin to English dictionary when it gives you castra castrorum, or that's how it would look even if you looked it up on the internet too. If you looked up camp and it gave you castra castrorum, that's all the things that you'd be able to tell about this word. Okay. So there are only two words that fit into this category of only having a plural. So the other dictionary form is impedimenta, impedimentorum. Impedimenta, impedimentorum. Now we have a Latin derivative from this. We'll get to it in a second. Let's finish filling out the chart though. Impedimentis, impediment. Okay. This has an aurum too with an A, so this means that this is also a second declension neuter word because it goes aurum is. So this one would be impedimenta again, and impedimentis. And this word means baggage. So even though baggage looks like a singular word to us in English, we're going to say impedimenta, which kind of looks like it means baggages, but it's baggage. And impedimentorum would mean of the baggage. It looks like it means of the baggages, but it just means of the baggage. Impedimentis for the dative, impedimenta. So if you have baggage, you would say impedimenta habeo, impedimenta habeo. And you're using this kind of impedimenta, not this one, because you'd want to use the accusative if you have something. And then impedimentis. Let's add another example sentence, this time something that uses one of these words. So let's say the baggage is in the camp. Okay, so the baggage. Well, the baggage would be the subject. So I would use impedimenta. Impedimenta in, now in the camp. Okay, it's not going into the camp. It's just already there. So we're using the ablative. So we're going to use this side. So in castris. Now, let's say the baggage was in the camp. Let's say was. Okay, the baggage was. All right, impedimenta is a plural. So I want to say erant. Impedimenta in castris erant. Impedimenta in castris erant. So the baggages, it kind of looks like the baggages, it's a plural. So that's why we want to say erant and then in castris. So here with this short little sentence, we're using both of these words. So be on the lookout for times where you might be tempted to put erat, but you should put erant, or times when you might be tempted to put est, but you should put sunt instead. Okay? All right, let's take a look at category B. Category B is words with different meanings from the singular to the plural. Okay. Words with different meanings in the singular and the plural. I'm going to make a chart. Now, this time we're going to fill out the entire chart. We're not going to just fill out half of the chart. We're going to fill out the entire chart, but the plural side is going to have one meaning, and then the singular side is going to have another meaning. And so our first word that's like that is gratia, gratiae. Gratia, gratiae. And so this word, gratia, gratiae, means grace, like Christian grace. Now, I know in English we sometimes talk about graces, like, oh, look, I'm praying to Mary and she's going to give me graces, but she's just going to give me grace, okay? Maybe she's just going to give me lots of grace. But they didn't really think about grace being a plural. So it was only a singular, okay? So she's just going to give me grace. Maybe she's going to give me a lot of it. Maybe she's going to give me grace to do lots of different things, right? And so in English, we say, oh, she's going to give me graces. One grace for this, one grace for that, right? But she's just going to give me grace in Latin, okay? Now, there is the plural side, but it has a different meaning. So let's finish filling out the chart. Gratia, gratiae. What is this word? What declension does this word belong to? It's a first declension word. Gratia, gratiae, gratiae. Gratiam. Gratia. Gratiae. Gratiarum. Grati. 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 Iarum, is, as, is. There's our chart. But we have two different meanings. We have this side, which has the meaning of grace, and we have this side, which has the meaning of thanks. And this works out really nice because if you give thanks to somebody, that thanks is already plural. You never give thank to somebody, right? So we wouldn't need these to mean thanks. We all only need this side to mean thanks, and we can use this side to mean grace. Pretty easy. Okay, so grace and thanks. It also means favor on the singular side. It can also mean favor. Okay, so let's see some example sentences. Oh, before an example sentence, I need to give you one verb, which I'll give you right up here. You can put it wherever you have room for it, but I'm going to give you the verb right here. Okay, so you might be asking, well, how do you say thanks to somebody? Well, you say, I give thanks. They actually didn't use thanks as a verb, like I thank him, or he thanks her, or I thank them. They just said, I give thanks to somebody. So the word thanks was only ever used as a noun, which is how we see it right there, or how we see it right here as a noun, right? So here's the verb. Now, you might know how to say give already, but they didn't use the word give. They used this other word, agere. And so I'm going to conjugate it with you. I'm going to ask you to write it down. Ago is I do thanks, or I render thanks. So ago. ages, agit. And this one was going to be agunt, agimus, or agimus if we're using ajo, ages, agit if we're using ecclesiastical. And then this one's agitis, agitis. And so we're going to use this verb with thanks to talk about people giving people thanks. Okay? So one student pointed out to me just today that when serving at Mass, the priest sometimes would say, gratias tibi ago, which means I give, so the ago means I give thanks. So clearly we don't want to look at these on the left-hand side. We want to only look at the side that means thanks. And if I give thanks, that's the accusative. Okay, so gratias ago, and then this word tibi means to you. So this is how you say thank you in Latin. Gratias tibi ago. Thanks to you I give. And then similar to this, gratias, the accusative plural, agimus or agimus, tibi, would be thanks we give to you. So all I'm really doing is, well, I'm changing the order of my words, which you know that in Latin that doesn't really matter much. Okay, and I'm changing my verb. I'm changing ago to agimus. So instead of I give, we give, me and other people too. Okay, so gratias agimus tibi, propter, we give you thanks on account of or for magnam gloriam. We know that propter takes the accusative, so that's what it's doing here, taking the accusative, for great glory tuam, your great glory. So here's a line from the Creed. Gratias agimus tibi, propter magnum gloriam tuam. All right, so there are some examples. Sentences that use gratia gratiae, or that use gratiae gratiarum. One more. Oh, I should give you one more. I should give you one more example sentence. Okay. Some of your translation exercises, it's going to ask you to say somebody is in favor with somebody, and so, or is in grace with somebody. Okay, it kind of means the same thing. So here's how you would say that. Okay, if we want to say the soldier is in favor with the leader, for example. So the soldier is the subject. So, okay, I'm going to write miles est, right? The soldier is, or I could put est at the end. So in favor. Okay, so if the soldier is already in favor, then just in with the ablative. So in gratia. So the soldier is in favor. Cum, in favor with a person, and cum takes the ablative too, so we're going to use another ablative. Miles est in gratia, so gratia is in the ablative, and whatever the person who you're in favor with is also going to be in the ablative. Cum with the leader. Okay. Dux is the nominative, so I don't want to put dux. I want to go various is ema duce. Duce. Cum duce. So that means the soldier is in favor with the leader. But if somebody comes into favor with somebody, like they weren't in favor, but then like they did something, like, and now they're in favor, they come into favor with the leader. So if I'm going to take the same sentence and I'm going to say he comes into favor. So miles, again, he's still the subject of our sentence. I want to say in grati. Now here I was using gratia, right? I was using the accusative. This time he's coming into favor. I want to use in plus the, sorry, I was using ablative before, right? In gratia. This time I want to use the accusative because he's coming into favor. Just like if you're coming into the forest, you would say in silvam, in silvam. Okay, but if you're already in the forest, in silva. Same thing with grace. If you're already in favor with somebody, in gratia. Miles est in gratia cum duce. But if you come into favor, in gratiam. So miles in gratiam cum, still use cum duce. Duce is still accusative, but you wouldn't say est. Right? You'd say when it, he comes into favor. So this is a way you could say that somebody comes into favor with. This is the way you say somebody just already is in favor with somebody. It's like just being on their good side or whatever. So that is our first word with two separate meanings. And then there's only one more word. Okay. Okay, I'm going to do the next one really quick. Copia, copiae. That means a supply or an abundance of something. A supply or an abundance. Then you've got the words copiae, copiarum. So this is clearly a first declension word, and this has a different meaning. This means troops or forces. Oh, another military word. Okay, so let's finish the chart. I, don't forget your macron. Arum. Is, us, is. Okay, there we go. This is our last word. All right. And so let's do some example sentences. So if we wanted to say there was a supply of swords, there is a supply of swords. Okay, so supply would be the subject, so I would use copia. Now of swords. Okay, what was our dictionary form of swords? Gladius, right? Gladius, gladii. It was a second declension word, and it was a masculine word. Gladius, gladii. Us, e, o, o. E, orm, is, os, is. Okay. So, of swords. That sounds like genitive to me, and it sounds like genitive plural. So, copia gladiorum. So, copia gladiorum means a supply of swords. Now let's say there is a supply of swords in the camp. How would we say in the camp? Oh, well, gotta go back here. Oh, there's only plural. In castris is how you say in the camp. In castris. Copia gladiorum in castris. Let's say erat. There was. Copia gladiorum in castris erat. Now let's say the forces, the troops or the forces came into the camp. Let's say the enemy troops came into the camp of the Romans. Ooh. Okay, so enemy troops, the troops of the enemies is the subject of my sentence. Okay, so the troops. Okay, so that would be copiae. Now, if you wanted to say milites, or if you wanted to say just the enemy, right? Hostes came into the camp. You could do that too, but it's another way to say it because copiae. So copiae of the enemy. Hostium. That's our genitive plural. Copiae hostium. So the troops of the enemies came into the camp. Ooh, into the camp. All right, go back to camp. All right, in castris? No, not this time, because they're coming into the camp. They're not already there. In castra. I want to use the accusative, and this is what the accusative would look like for this word. Okay, so copiae hostium in castra, and it's a plural subject, so venerunt. So the enemy troops came into the camp, and copia gladiorum in castris erat. So even though both of these mean in the camp, into the camp, and this is just already in the camp. So that's why this is ablative and this is accusative. All right, that is your notes on words with special meanings in the plural. And your first exercise for words with special meanings in the plural is exercise 75, 1 through 7. And then number 8 is this really huge long paragraph, which I've broken up into A, B, C, and D. So I'm going to do just a couple of these with you. Okay? Christians, give thanks to God on account of the abundance of the grace of Christ. The long one. All right. All right. So who's our subject? What's our verb? I guess give is our verb, and Christians is our subject. So we need Christians in the nominative. Well, I know Christians in the nominative is Christiani. Okay? So they give thanks to God. Okay. And I want to go back to my word thanks, because maybe I'm mixing up, which maybe I remember the word, but I don't remember which side is the thanks side. It's the side, and the way you can easily remember that is gratias, is where gracias in Spanish comes from. So obviously it wouldn't come from the side that means something different, right? It would come from the side that means thanks. So if they give thanks, well, anytime you give thanks, then it obviously has to be the accusative, so always gratias, right? Now, if it's something about of the thanks, or just the thanks did something, like it was the subject of the sentence, then you would use these. Typically, anytime you use the word give thanks, typically you're going to be using this word right here. You're going to be using it in the accusative. We would never say like with the thanks, or typically this is the word you're going to use if you're using something from this side. So, Christiani gratias to God, Deo, that's God in the dative, right? And then give. Now remember, you don't want to say dant, right? Even though that's technically the word to give, like if you're actually giving a physical thing, we want to say agunt. On account of, that's propter. So Christians give thanks to God on account of the abundance of the grace of Christ. Ooh, of the grace of Christ. So we're going to have a lot of genitives here. Of the grace. It's going to be a genitive. Of Christ is going to be a genitive. Now, on account of abundance. Okay, what's our word for abundance? That's our word from over here. Supplier abundance is the singular side. Now, on account of abundance, we need the accusative. So copiam. Copiam is our word. Propter copiam. On account of the abundance of the grace of Christ. So of the grace. Okay. Gratiae. Of the grace, it needs us to be in the genitive. If I go over here, that would be thanks. So gratiae. Copiam. Gratiae. And then of Christ. Christi. Period. There's our answer to our first one. Christiani gratias Deo agunt, propter copiam gratiae Christi. Number 3, we also did. There was a supply of swords in the camp. We just did it in our notes. So let's do a supply. Copia. That's where we get the word cornucopia from. Horn of plenty. Copia of swords. Gladiorum. In the camp. Now remember, camp is only on the plural side, so in castris, there was erat. So there are first two answers on the test. Or sorry, on this homework, not on the test. But maybe some of these sentences will appear on the test. So that is a possibility. All right, have fun translating.